EVE Online is a space-based, persistent world, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. The game is renowned for its scale and complexity with regards to player interactions. In its single shared game world, players engage in unscripted economic competition, warfare, and political schemes with other players. When players play sandbox MMOs, they are expecting a grand adventure where they have equal opportunities to play out their ultimate fantasies. For example, in EVE Online, the Boot.ini became a grand dictator of a nation corporation so large that it controls entire solar systems. However, being able to play out your fantasies all depends on if the sandbox universe you're playing in is fair. If players can dump money and gain in-game influence and power, why would the average player grind their way to the top? Fairness is a huge, if not the most important pillar to uphold if you're the developers of a sandbox MMO. Issues with fairness are not rare. Black Desert Online's cash shop ruins the fun for casual players. Another example is the time a group of players found the password to the admin of 2B2T, a Minecraft Anarchy server, and gained full admin access. This almost killed the server as people quit playing. However, these small games are nothing compared to the massive #1 sandbox MMO of all time, EVE Online. EVE Online harbors a dark secret that CCP Games does not want you to know. This dark secret happened almost 14 years ago and put the entire concept of EVE into question. Can players trust New Eden to be a fair universe where they can live out their space fantasies? Or is there a darker secret lurking beneath the surface? In a game filled with deception, cybercrime, and espionage, this is the dark secret of EVE Online. Kugutsumin is the Edward Snowden of EVE Online. He was the whistleblower who exposed EVE Online's darkest secret. Not many people will know this, but it is believed that Kugutsumin is actually French hacker Anthony Zborlaski, who was arrested for, get this, cracking the FBI conference calling system and using it to make $250,000 in phone calls to chat with his hacker friends around the world. And who are his hacker friends? Zborlaski was part of the hacker group called Woo. I don't even know if I'm saying that correct, but the founder of WhatsApp and Sean Fanning, who is the president of Facebook and the founder of Napster, were both part of this hacker group. Oh, and also guess who is following Anthony Zborlaski on Twitter? That's right, the Boot.ini. It all comes full circle. Kugutsumin was known for hacking into several mega alliances' private forums and eventually was the Boot.ini's hacker for hire. However, after Kugutsumin hacked into the Banda Brothers' private forums, he stumbled upon something he should not have seen. Something that would bring the credibility of CCP Games and the whole concept of EVE Online to its knees. But just what is EVE's dark secret that CCP Games has been trying to cover up? Developer cheating. EVE Online is just one massive database that stores data about resources, ships, and combat. Imagine if you had backdoor access to that database. You would be a super user who could do anything that they wanted to. Spawn in any items you wanted for you and your friends? That's exactly what happened in 2007. It all started with T20. a CCP employee and EVE Online developer. T20 was part of the Band of Brothers alliance. The Band of Brothers was the first elite PvP alliance and laid claim to Delve, Aquarius, and Period bases. Led by Sir Mole, it was originally comprised of Reikoku, Black Nova Corp, Finfleet, Evolution, and Destructive Influence. T20 was a part of Reikoku. By hacking into their emails, Kugutsumin uncovered that T20 was manipulating in-game item lotteries to effectively spawn in extremely rare items for him and his buddies in the Band of Brothers. This was huge. CCP actively tried to cover up this scandal. They censored people from even typing Kugutsumin's name in the forums, closed all posts related to the scandal, and as a result of the cover-up, only shards and fragments of the story remained scattered around the internet. Kugutsumin was permanently banned, and no move was made to fire T20 from CCP games. The player base was outraged. To save their own asses, CCP formed the Council of Stellar Management, or CSM for short. It consisted of 10 democratically elected leaders to advise and assist CCP in the development of EVE Online. Great job, CCP. Let a select few powerful players who are prone to Machiavellian tactics in on insider information about new developments. I'm sure they will never abuse their insider information. Shortly after, a CSM member was found guilty of insider trading on the game's commodities markets, based on advance notice he received of a design change in the works. Adam Ridgway, known in-game as Larconis Trassler, had speculatively stockpiled 2.5 billion ISK worth of items ahead of the proposed changes. CCP Games also forced employees to make their EVE characters anonymous so they couldn't be identified as EVE developers. If a developer's character name was ever found out by a regular player, they were forced to report themselves to internal affairs and undergo a witness relocation process. This process forced them to leave any player corporation they might have belonged to with no warning and to change their character's name and portrait in an attempt to restore their anonymity. However, this rule was recently toned down. The year is 2007. EVE Online just released their new expansion, Trinity. It promised an update to EVE's graphics engine. 20 new ships. Everything was going great. CCP developers popped open a bottle of champagne at their headquarters in Iceland to celebrate. There was no way this expansion could go wrong. The official patch notes said, "It really has to be seen to be believed, and once Trinity arrives and you log on to EVE, we're convinced that you will never look back." Shortly after the expansion was released, CCP was flooded with angry reports of people's computers not turning on. It turns out that CCP had made a big oopsie. Their installer contained a file called Boot.ini, which just so happened to be the same name as the Windows startup file. Their installer replaced the Windows Boot.ini file with the EVE Online Boot.ini file, thus permanently destroying any operating system that the new expansion was installed on. People were furious. You might be asking, with all their developers, money, and resources, how did not one single developer catch this huge flaw? Developers were under so much time pressure by CCP Games that they started testing the evening before the expansion got launched. One player reported, "It basically bricked my hard drives. Couldn't even get past BIOS. Had a local shop reformat the drives and run them separately instead. Reported it to EVE customer support and they gave me a month's subscription free." Good times. CCP has since beefed up their testing policies and owned up to their mistakes. They released this video in response to the scandal.
Yeah, thank you. So I did, yeah? Okay. Okay, good, thanks.
So, the Boot.ini thing?
Yeah, that's good.
Took care of it?
Yeah, taken care of. Thanks, man.
Supply and demand. It is the ultimate force that governs most markets in the world. The case is no different for EVE Online. If you want a spaceship, someone needs to mine the raw materials from naturally occurring asteroids or moons, process those raw materials, and synthesize components which can be built into ship parts and finally assembled into the finished product and sold in the EVE local markets. There is a full supply chain in EVE, with goods only being able to be sold locally. When supply goes down, a good becomes more rare and thus more valuable, and the price increases. If demand increases, more people want an item and the price goes up to compensate. However, what happens when a select group of people can provide infinite supply? Prices will drop to the floor, and a select group of people will have close to 100% market share, capturing nearly all of the revenue gained from selling that good. This is exactly what happened in 2008 when it was revealed that a select group of players from several major alliances were using an exploit that would allow them to obtain unlimited resources by taking advantage of a bug with the player-owned starship system in EVE. Players could put raw materials into these starships to build T2 parts. However, people found out a way to take the materials out of the reactor while still producing the final product, thus allowing them to produce an infinite amount of resources. This exploit was used by the major alliances for 4 years until CCP finally noticed it and banned 70 accounts. CCP released a statement saying the effects on the markets have been considerable and far-reaching. I know, I've been shitting on CCP games so far, but in reality, it is extremely difficult to run the most complex virtual universe of all time. While EVE has a dark past of developer cheating, exploits, and the in-game Machiavellian tactics leaking into the real world, this is just what makes the game fun. EVE Online has almost 19 years of history forged by millions of players to explore, and over the years there's bound to be some times where the players push the boundaries. While CCP Games sometimes handles these situations very poorly, 19 years of experience and the unparalleled player history makes EVE Online the best sandbox MMO to play. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It cost a lot of time and money to make this video, but I am determined to tell the stories of EVE Online in the best way possible. So if you enjoy this video and want to support the channel, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with your friends so they can also understand what makes EVE Online so fascinating. This has been Shadow MMO, and stay tuned for more documentaries about fascinating stories and events that happen in MMORPGs.
Snap back to reality.